Stillwell Valley live at Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta, joined by Tim Prister. And Tim, today, after Notre Dame's tone setter last week, we're going to see if they can keep that momentum going, if it will resonate into November, where it appears much stiffer competition awaits.
Yeah, that's easier. Not necessarily have to be 45-3 game, but just take a normal approach. You know that you did last week. You really get riled up in football. You have an opponent that got great opportunity at the zone once again going into Clemson.
And I would think with Georgia Tech, with Jeff Sims, the backfield presents a little bit more of a challenge offensively. Defensively, we were more worried about Pittsburgh, of course, than you're going to be at the Yellow Jackets, who've given up points. And throw away the Clemson game, they've given up points to Boston College and Syracuse as well. So you would think that Notre Dame defensively has a different challenge, at least, than they did last week.
Well, they do. And Jeff Sims has done some good things. He's done some bad things. He's thrown 8 interceptions and fumbled 3 times. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs has been really, really good. Boston College held him to 8 carries for 9 yards last week. So there are ways to diffuse them. They are one of the lower scoring teams in the country. And if Notre Dame just does what they normally do with the Clark Lee defense, we talked about it during the week during a podcast, that we talk about an opponent and all the things that they can do, and then they get up against a Notre Dame defense and have difficulty moving the football.
In terms of building on the passing game for Notre Dame, we expected to see Michael Mayer emerging by now. Maybe he's even a little bit ahead of schedule. Ben Skoranic's game last week, it's something he needs to stay healthy, of course, with the hamstring, but you really want to see him grow at the end book, because no matter what young players they bring along, Notre Dame needs a go-to receiver. And it appears it's going to be Skowronek and the tight ends at this point.
Yeah, I think Tommy Tremble gets involved this week. You know, only had 1 reception the last 3 weeks. And when there's a greater emphasis, the quarterback starts looking for him more. It doesn't matter which tight end they throw to. It doesn't matter which wide receiver they throw to, although Skowronek is the hot wide receiver. But there are opportunities out there. A Georgia Tech defense that's given up 18 touchdown passes in just 6 games.
And with that vulnerability in the passing game, you still have to deal with Notre Dame's rushing attack. We were kind of wondering this week, is Chris Tyree going to rejoin the fray here, or is Sebo Flemister moved ahead of him? I know we both like Sebo's game, but you think at this point, at least in the season, Sebo Flemister is probably the complement to Kyron Williams.
Well, I would think so. I mean, he's led the team in rushing 2 of the 5 games. Georgia Tech's giving up 4.6 yards per carry. It's another vulnerable defense to the running game. Notre Dame's offensive line is humming now. This is a great opportunity. Notre Dame should be able to, on paper, look, running it, throwing it, it should all be available to Ian Book in the offense.
Is there something that you find that you would be concerned about leaving this game, aside from another Louisville rematch or another match like the Louisville game where it's 12-7? If Notre Dame just goes out and takes care of business, what are you looking for as a step forward?
Yeah, one stat that kind of surprised me is that Georgia Tech's in the top 20 in takeaways. I think it's 11th. Or maybe it's 11 turnovers that they have, but it's among the nation's leaders. They have been able to take the football away when you're on the road. That's one thing that you worry about.
One other thing, an oddity to look for, quarterback Jeff Sims is a true freshman, 4th in the nation when pressured. Notre Dame has been bringing a lot of Sean Crawford and Kyle Hamilton pressuring from the back end. You wonder if there is going to be some more dropping in zone coverage this week, and in preparation for the next couple of weeks, where there's a couple other guys apparently they're good against pressure in Trevor Lawrence and Phil Jakovic, as we have seen today from the Boston College game, which is at halftime, and it could put a little bit of a damper on our Notre Dame Clemson week next week.
Yeah, we'll worry about that next week. Time here.
That is it for pregame instant analysis. We'll be back postgame after Notre Dame takes on Georgia Tech.